Hello again. Now, this is not my first go at this one. I'm going to try and refrain from saying bad things about Windows 7 this time, so that I don't get sidetracked. I'm going to ignore all of the wrong things that they've done with this operating system. Completely ignore them. Okay. What I wanted to talk about in this lesson is a feature that is included with what they call the shell. The shell, being Explorer for Windows, is the program that makes this bar at the bottom and handles all these icons and stuff. It has a recycle bin and all that sort of crazy stuff. Now that's just a program, but there can only be one program that is designated as what they call a shell. Now, speaking about shells, I thought I'd just insert here. This is actually an insert. A little bit on the history of, I suppose, on the history side. All operating systems, not just Windows, and for as long as I can remember, have always had a component, a shell type component. Now for DOS, Microsoft's first operating system, the shell was called command.com. Now what I've done is I've collected a bunch of pictures and whoops. And I think that is the format of that. Hang on a sec. Yeah. Sorry about that noise. It'll stop in a minute. It should. Now this here is what appears to be a screenshot, and it might be a regular screenshot rather than a photo of an something running in DOS under an emulator. And there you can see the file command.com. This is the way files were listed under DOS. Hang on a sec. Now, that should be better. Okay, so this is DOS, and that should look fairly familiar to you. It looks a little bit like a command prompt program, which emulates some of the features of DOS, and it adds many more. Here is another version. Now this is this operating system is one that came out I'm not sure when. Looks like 2003, but that's probably not when it first came out. But FreeDOS is a version of DOS that you wouldn't have had to pay for, and I suppose you can probably still find it online. And its shell is also called command.com. In this other image, it looks like there's only one file here. but there would have to be at least, this doesn't need to be there, but definitely there would have been something called ms-dos.sys, I think it's called, in that directory, in the root directory. The command com, and now this looks like it might be an important system file. It is, but it's just settings. It's a text file, same as this. Auto exec just means automatic execution. So this, whatever's in this batch file gets run at start. In this next image, this is the shell for Linux, which is Linux is a free version of the Unix operating system. It's I guess open source free version, but it essentially it's Unix, and its shell is called Bash, which I would assume stands for Basic Shell. So, and it also has a prompt with a blinking type cursor, and you can do similar things that you would do in DOS. Here's another image of Bash. Let's see now what's going on here. This looks like, yeah, ls is the equivalent of dir, like the directory command, and it has switches. So it really stands for list. Here you can see it's showing a current directory, right? Whatever it is. Now, the cd, I'm not sure if this is originally the change directory command for bash, but it might be. A lot of DOS type commands will be accepted by bash because people are familiar with them. Like the dir command might work on a Linux system. It might not, but you can. It's very configurable. You could set it up to make it work. Okay. Now this here, Program Manager, is this particular one, in fact, was the shell for all the version 3 Windows, and this particular one is Windows NT version 3.51, and the shell was called Program Manager. That was the name of the shell program, and you can see that inside here there are icons. And you could create, obviously, groups. You would make these groups. You can also put programs in here, and the one for navigating the disk was called File Manager. Now here's another view of Windows NT version 3.51. where someone has put an icon on this desktop thing, and so I can't remember exactly how you did it, but I think you could just drag things out onto here, and then it would make a link. So the desktop wasn't part of the shell. the desktop was a subcomponent that you could manipulate using the shell. I'm not sure how. Probably something in this main menu. This is a view of the Macintosh, well, two shells here. Here we have a Macintosh, and the name of its shell. First, its underlying operating system is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, is a variant of Linux. So it's a Unix type operating system. The shell is called Finder. That's this thing, which has, similar to Windows, a bar on the bottom that has icons you can click and select for programs. This thing is always there, as far as I've never seen it disappear. Here, this person has run several instances of bash. Now it says on TTY something, logins. This must be logging on to something on the internet, but maybe not. I don't know. Last login, %1sh. I have no idea what these things are doing. This looks like it's running some kind of. Oh yeah, okay. It's doing a kind of loop. You can run these scripts in Bash. Bash will run scripts like DOS will run Bash files, and somebody's run a script. This is another view of the Finder shell, where someone was explaining what all this stuff is. Now, if you're familiar with Windows, you're familiar with that thing, and this thing, and this thing. Where in Windows, this thing, I think, would be the equivalent of the Start menu, although I'm not sure. Now, there are a bunch of menus here, and I don't know exactly how it works, because when you run a program, the menu is always the same. There's always a menu here, and I suppose it takes the context of whatever is the foreground running program. Here again is Mac OS. Now here, this is the Finder. Now in Windows, Explorer, there's a thing called Explorer for navigating the file system, and Finder has an equivalent that has this look. It's a very similar look. Here looks like Bash. This here looks like the taskbar. And look at the, here are some links on the desktop. Here's my system, with the Explorer shell, and I've done something similar to give a similar idea of that Bash and Finder thing mixed together. Now here is a Bash, a real Bash. This is a Linux system connected remotely from my machine, I've run the ls command, list, which is like directory, and here's the prompt. It gives your username, who you are, and this can, or it may or may not say where you are. I didn't do anything, I just quit. And this here, I've made it look a little bit like DOS. And so that's a brief walk through time in terms of shells. Every operating system has a shell. Some people have written shells, different shells for different operating systems. There was a graphical shell for available for standard Linux. It looks a little bit like Windows. There's another operating system called Ubuntu, and it has a graphical looking shell. And so this idea of the shell is pretty much a standard. All operating systems have it, and that's all I wanted to say about that, I think. Well, actually, there was one other thing I wanted to mention about this shell, Explorer, and Windows NT 3.51. If you look at the shell Explorer, this ever comes up, you're going to notice something of some historical interest. Here's Explorer, our shell, and the window title, although you can't see it, is Program Manager, which was the shell, the Windows shell, up until it was replaced by Explorer. So I guess just for historical reasons, they replaced this with this, but they at least retained the name Program Manager as the title, the window title for the window associated with the shell. Although you can't see that window, it's invisible. It still has the name Program Manager. Okay. Now this is also called Explorer. In fact, it's the same program, but this is just a different component of that program, which is the one that allows you to navigate around the drive. Great program, love it. I can't think of anything bad to say about this program. Don't know, maybe there might be some problems with it, but anyway, one of the things that the shell includes, as I just said, is this thing at the bottom, and that there is called a taskbar, which is split up into two sections. Well, three sections, really. There's the quick launch section, which includes these types of, if I close this here, these types of icons. Maybe I should put this here. No, I don't want to close this. Yes, just so it looks more consistent. Now these don't represent any program that's running. This is for launching a program. You can click on one of these things. In the middle, indicated here, are icons associated with currently running programs that you can use to select one or another program, and also the preview bit. This part also contains icons associated with running programs, but these programs may or may not have a window associated with them. I mean, they have a window, but it might not be visible. For instance, this program is not indicated in this list, but it's still running. If I double click on this, well, I can't double click. It would come up. Actually, I don't want you to see what's going there. Okay, so, and this here is something I just installed, which is a program that I've always had ever since I started using Windows, and I haven't had on this machine because I lost my last machine. It got destroyed. The hard drive got destroyed, and so I lost my EN editor. Now, really, I should make my own version of this because this is not as good as the original one. There's too much stuff now. But what I really want here is my own personalized set of files that I might want quick access to. I don't have to go searching for them in a single list, right? So I can get to any of those files with a single 2 clicks. To do. There's nothing in here, but I intend to use this file as a to-do list. And that way I'll always be able to get up my to-do list. Now, what I don't want to happen is to use this editor as the default, especially for text files, but really for any file. I don't want anything associated with this program, because every time I would open something, it would get added to my special list. And that was the reason why I wanted this program, was because I wanted a special list of things that I can have quick access to, and not, like a recent list. There's a recent list that can appear. It appears here for programs, and you could also have a recent list of documents, I think. But that's not what I want. I don't want a recent list. I want a permanent list of things that I'm always going back to. Like I'm always going back to this arrows word. See, so that I can pull out the special characters when I need them. If I wanted to draw a box, say, right? So I put in my list. Now, in fact, what we could do is we could make a replacement for this as an example program. That's a good idea, and then that will demonstrate how we can use this thing. But I mean, how we can use this, create something that can go in this list. Okay. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is the following. Suppose the shell dies. Okay, there's no more Explorer. I just did Windows M and nothing happened. Now, I'm minimizing these things, but look what's happening. I'm not even sure what it expects to happen. They would have gone into the taskbar, but there is no taskbar. still there, obviously. This is moved. So something, I guess, normally remembers its position. This is, maximize. No, I didn't want that. Restore. Okay. So the system still works. You can still sort of do a few things, but I've lost that taskbar and I lost the stuff that was in that list. Question is, when I bring back Explorer, are they going to come back? Run it. Okay, and there they are again, the same things that were there before. Now it's in a weird half state, but it'll go away when I do that. Okay. Now that bit about this list, this part restoring itself, is not automatic. In fact, these programs, all the programs that use, well, not everyone, some probably don't do it properly, but a program which uses this system tray to when it hides itself. The point of the system tray is that you can hide a program so it doesn't show up in this list, but it doesn't stop running. That means it's not in your face anymore. It's off doing its own job, and not bothering you. If the taskbar dies, right, and then comes back again, all these things have to put themselves back into the system tray. It's not the job of the shell program to remember what was here. It's the job of these programs to remember that they belong here and to respond when told by a special message that they should go back here. Now that special message obviously has to be something global to the system, and in fact it is. And the way that one creates such a global message is by calling out a special function, register window message, that with a name. Now here I've actually called that function, register window message, and what that does is it returns you a unique, guaranteed to be unique message in a certain range, and when the function is called again with the same name, you're always going to get the same value back. So now, provided we haven't run out of numbers to register, it'll be somewhere within this range. Now, I think this is the value, what they call WM app or something. WM app, I think, is C00. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. WMAP through BFF. Oh, okay. So WMAP is less than that. And then add one more to that and you get C00. So from the end of the WMAPs, C00 to FFF, string messages used by application. Now they don't have to be, I actually mentioned register window message. You don't have to, you shouldn't use register window message unless your message is of a special kind that you want to be global, and not only global, but permanent. That is, when I called this function with this string as it's the name for this message, it registered that message and returned a number. I think the number was C3 something something something. Now if I run it again, I should get the same value. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, but I can tell you with certainty that this one returned a bigger value than the last one. It was quite high, C8 or C3 something. Anyway, it was bigger, and and similarly for this one is also around the same range, and because I was wondering why. No, this one returns a much smaller number, C0D1, I think. Yeah. Now this one, I created not that much further back in time than the other ones, and I was wondering if as you added them, if the return value was an increasing number, and it's not, because I did these in order, and if you recall, this one is 395, and then this one is less than that. So the number returned is not necessarily an increasing value. See, this is 2 something. But this one was created following the previous one. It could be that some other program has already registered these messages, but we can prove that. What we can do is generate something definitely 100% that I know with 100% certainty will be unique. And I can do that this way. Okay. So now this is certainly going to be unique. Now I'm going to have to remember this string. So if I can retrieve it when I need it. I'm going to do this. I'll make a list. Now, if you really wanted to mess up somebody's system, you could just go into a loop and register so many messages that you fill up the entire space of messages. And then nobody will be able to ever register a new window message because you've used up all the numbers. But we're okay. I'm sure we're not even near the end. There's lots and lots. Okay, so now I'll say my message of 0. Okay. Now, I'll keep adding to that list if it continues to go up. Now look, see that's way less. Now this is definitely a new message. I just generated that string. You saw it happen, and the number returned is less than those ones I generated a long time earlier. So it's not an increasing value, and that's good. It means that anyway, we're not up to 300 FF or whatever yet. I have no idea, and I've looked a little bit online to see if there's a way to get a list of the registered messages to see how many there are. I imagine that it might use like a global signal, an event object, to associate the messages. I mean, to put them somewhere global. But those things, those global objects can be destroyed. I mean, they can be removed from the system. These can't. Once these messages are there, they last until well, it says right here, until the session ends. And what they mean by session is the logon session. And the reason I know that for sure is because there's only one possible session that they could be talking about in this context. Because as you saw, I ran that program, right? And the program's gone, and it wasn't using the message to communicate with any other windows or anything. It didn't really even have a window, but the message persisted. So, it's not like anyone's using it. Any process is currently using that message. It didn't have an associated process anymore, but the message stayed. So therefore, the session they're referring to is not some session to do with two programs, but the logon session. So that's why you wouldn't use this function if you only wanted to temporarily create your own special message. You could use WM app, or so, if you wanted to use within your program create your own special message. You can just think up a number, and you can guarantee its uniqueness internally, and then use that, and not use up one of these system-wide globals. Now, I think there's a function that can create a unique message within a group of windows, but I can't remember. But that doesn't matter. Point is, it doesn't matter, first of all, who calls this first, okay? Any program could have called sorry, I didn't get to the point. Now, the point is that there's a registered message associated with this taskbar, and it's called taskbar created. Now, this message I know has already been registered. And the reason I know that is because the taskbar, I can see a taskbar. And whenever the taskbar comes into existence, it broadcasts the previously registered message taskbar created, or it could create it. It could, the first time it does it, it could be creating that message. You don't know, you can't tell the difference. Calling register window message won't create a new message if one already exists with the same name. That's the whole point of it, so that it remains constant. So if I run my program, whoops, %x, is that it? Hello world. It can't be. That's a way bigger number. Well, according to register. Forgot. This one was registered when Explorer started for the first time and created its taskbar, and it would have been 80C083 when I logged on to the system at this time, and it will remain that value forever. And what happens is when the taskbar gets created, that message gets broadcast to, I think, only the top level windows. Okay. Yeah, top level windows. That's all I wanted to find out. So anything that's a top level window is going to receive that C041 message, whatever it was. C083. When this whenever this gets created, every single time. So now what I want to do, and I clip this video out, cut a lot of this video, the end part out, is I'd like to first show you how this program uses the system tray, using both this registered window message to know when to put its icons back, and how to add the icons, and how to make these little thought bubbles come up with the correct text. And then I would like to get rid of this program because I don't like this new version. It's all extra features I don't need and don't want, and make my own program that simply displays my list of things that not a recent list, but a quick list. Call it my quick list. Quick list of files. It doesn't have to be text files. It can be any kind of file. And all I would like it to do is bring up this menu, forget about with the list, forget about all this stuff. I'll have this button, and all that will do is open a box that will allow me to browse through my system and select a file, and it'll add it to that list and open it. And by open, I mean not run a specific program, but to tell the shell to open the file. Okay, that's what they mean by shell execute. The shell is the part of, also the part of the operating system that deals with file associations. So it's supposed to know what types of files should be opened with what type, with which program. It has an association. And I've associated this with a little picture viewer. Now, why did double click work? I don't know. Right? And now that's just shell open. I didn't select this program. It knows that I've already made that selection, and it saved that off somewhere. So all our program's got to do is allow a type of browsing to go on. You could use the standard one, the horrible one, not my great perfect one that I made, but something more of this, like this form. And all these things do is return a string, which is the full path of the object selected, if something is selected. Okay, and this is called a file open dialog. Sorry, what I meant to say is that the program could use this really awesome file open dialog. It's provided by Windows NT 7, and I think I worded it wrong before, and I just wanted to make sure you understood how awesome and great this file open dialog is. Never had a problem with it. Okay, and there's a standard way to make one come up, and I don't know, one would want it to at least remember the last place I used it, maybe, or maybe not. It's hard to say. Now that's better. That type of list for me is much more useful than a recent list, especially with files. A recent file list is not useful generally. The reason is you might use a file a lot. Okay, you might open one particular file a lot, but then at some point, suppose you're looking for something, and that involves opening a whole bunch of files, and that happens all the time, and suddenly your recent file list is full of a whole bunch of things that you've only looked at once during when you're doing some particular task, and the thing that you use all the time is gone. And so the recent file list tends to not be useful, because every now and again you go on a little diversion, and the thing that you wanted to stay there disappears. If it had a kind of waiting, like this, if such and so file is opened 100 times, and another file has only been opened once, the one that's been opened more times gets a higher priority in the list, then your recent file list would be a useful list. It would be this kind of list. Things that you open just once or twice wouldn't wind up in there. Anyway, so next time we'll try and do that. Okay, see you.